Sweet.
How the fuck is everyone doing? Welcome to M.F.M.F's Heavy Hitter segment. Thanks for tuning in to episode 22. We are here with the mystical legend Glvsspvck.
I am a guy.
Ben has some of the most mind-bending, brain-melting drops out there that are so heavy enough to just disintegrate every bone in your neck. Yeah, dude, super excited about this one. Been following you since like 2018 when Amber Alert came out, and I was just like, oh shit.
That was like the first song of mine that ever like did well. It was mostly, do you remember Nasty? NXSTY?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like the first person to like find my stuff and then repost it, and then from there it was like, oh whoa, all these people.
That's crazy. Cause yeah, he was I don't think I've seen I haven't like followed him too closely, but I haven't seen too much from him as much. Like I used to see him popping up everywhere all the time.
As far as I know, he's on like a hiatus. Apparently he's just like looking to better his mental health and like family relationship or something. There was a post on his Instagram for a while, but I think he just recently took it down. So maybe a nasty comeback. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm hoping for it. I got my fingers crossed.
Oh yeah, dude. The shit he's making was just insane.
So nutty.
So bonkers. Speaking of, looks like you have a few tracks on Audio Records.
Yes.
Is that how you say it?
Audio? Yeah, I love the Audio guys.
Oh, dude, fucking insane! Always coming out with consistent heat. And then what is it? Deep Swell and Mind Eraser were those two songs. Mind Eraser. I love how it's like it sounds like that kind of psytrancey, like kind of bass up, but it's like way slower and definitely not like trancy.
That was like the whole idea for the track. It was like, I don't know, that was technically my first attempt at making like a dubstep or rhythm track, and I wanted to do something new, something that people hadn't done before. And I was just scrolling through Splice and I found these psytrance samples, and I was like, I could put this in a rhythm track. And then I put them in and they ended up fitting fucking perfectly. And I was like, okay, well, here's the entire idea for the track. It's psytrance rhythm drop.
So I love about like EDM specifically is like, you know, with like a guitar or something, you know, you're stuck to whatever sounds that guitar can make. But with this, you could just like go on Splice and find anything and just be like, whoa.
It's so free form at this point. Like the options are limitless.
Fucking love it. So starting off with those good basics, what's your name? Where are you from? And why'd you choose the name Glvsspvck?
My name is Mitchell. I usually go by Mitch. I'm from Sacramento, born and raised. I'm still here. I live in like a suburb of Sacramento, so like a little bit north. But yeah, I've been here my whole life. It's kind of a shithole sometimes, but I mean, that's just any city pretty much.
Yeah.
I like it here. It's nice. 916 gang. And then as for the name, so in Sacramento, there's a big car scene. And I was definitely a part of that for a while. I had a Miata. It was all like modded out and stuff.
Mazda Mafia.
Yeah. The biggest meme with that car is I had an 8.5-foot Humvee whip antenna on it, so it just looked like an RC car. I was that guy. I was that guy at the shows who would pull up in the car and just like people would be like, "Who the fuck is this guy?
Yep.
Why would you do that?" But yeah, it was funny. It looked fucking hilarious. But with the cars, so there's a part of a car exhaust. Or it's like a piece you can install. It's called a Glvsspvck. Have you heard of it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I heard about that in the early days, and I was like, oh yeah, you can put a Glvsspvck in to like tune your sound and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, tune sound. That's kind of what I'm trying to go for. So, and then I put the V in pack for that search engine optimization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's badass. So it's weird because my mind never jumped to that. The only time I've ever heard of glass pack was glass pack exhaust, because I used to have an RX-7 and I was kind of that kid too, but it was straight piped. And I was at the time, I was like, you know what can I do for this sound? I was looking through some glass pack exhaust for that, but I never like made that connection. So that's really cool to hear though.
Yeah, I mean, the name has served me well. It's been I started that alias in 2018, so you probably found me at like the very beginning of the project.
Damn, that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, believe it or not, before that I was making fucking chiptune music, like 8-bit, like beep, boop, beep. Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't there some kind of thing you could plug into like a Game Boy where you can like kind of make chiptune music like that, but it's like some extension you plugged in?
Probably something like that. I was not at the level of knowing anything about that at the time. I was just like, this is the extent of what I can make 8-bit sounds. I don't know any sound design. And then it just kind of, yeah, I eventually got bored of just doing that. I was like, ooh, sound design is fun.
Yeah, that's super cool here. I love how I love hearing how people go from like making house or like festival trap or something, and then just like it evolves into where they're at today. That's awesome though. I love hearing that.
Hell yeah.
So do you do anything to like jumpstart your creative flow, or does it just kind of come and go naturally?
I'm really off and on with creativity. I'd say that's like one of my biggest struggles is like just sitting down and being like, I have an idea for a track, and then taking that and pulling that completely through. But yeah, it's really sporadic. Like sometimes, some nights I'll hop in the DAW and like everything I put down just sounds shit. And then sometimes I get in the DAW and I'm like, oh, here we go, ideas, 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 and it just flows. Um, I think there's something to be said about like templates or like having your own built-in template, because like having that base, like that kind of starting point, I feel like helps a lot because it gets you through that like very early phase of the track where you're just like putting down drums and then subs. It's like, oh, I know how to do all this. Let's put it down just to have something. So sometimes I'll start with a template. Sometimes I completely start from scratch.
Hmm.
It really all depends. But I find with a lot of tracks, there's like a critical mass that you reach where it's like kind of no matter what you put in, it's gonna sound good.
Mm-hmm.
If the rest of the track is already carrying it, and you can kind of base contextually what you want to do based on the rest of the track. And then from there it's easy. So the hardest part for me is just getting myself to that kind of critical mass spot.
Yeah, and I definitely feel how like helpful templates are, because like I'm not super good at remembering a whole list of things to do. So like if I'm opening up a new track, I'll like forget something, but then like just having that template there, it's just like a list. You're like, okay, what should I do next? Oh, do plug that in, and then like it just builds itself.
Exactly.
um So when you get kind of writer's block, do you just kind of take a step away and go do something else, or is there something you try to do to kind of get back in the zone?
It really depends on what I'm making. Like if it's like a remix or something that has a deadline, I usually just try to push through it. And eventually like one of the days that I'm making it'll kind of snap or it'll click and I'll be like, okay, here we go. But
Nice.
sometimes I'll spend like a day or like multiple hours on a track and I'm just like, this everything is bad. I just go to bed, wake up the next morning, and then usually go to work and then come back and then work on it again. And that's when it'll kind of click for me of what I want to do.
Nice.
But a lot of times, yeah, I do kind of switch over to other projects if like one thing's just not working out. So I do music along with 3D art, some light video editing. I'm not like the greatest video editor. It's not my like forte, but it's there. So if I have other work to do or other stuff I could be working on, I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, let's do that for a good hour, take a break, and then come back to it with like a fresh mindset.
Okay, awesome. I definitely yeah, I feel like because I was working on a song recently and I had this like cool intro, I, like went on YouTube and found like clips from the Chernobyl like HBO miniseries and like some cool
Ooh,
little vocal bits in there. And it just wasn't, I was working on it for like a whole day, just nothing was clicking. I wasn't happy. I was just gonna delete the whole thing. Woke up the next day, just like got rid of everything besides just the intro and just restarted, and it just like started popping together, just boom, 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 boom. I'm like
that's that
super
critical
happy with
mass. That's
it.
that critical mass.
Oh yeah.
That's funny. This Chernobyl, radioactive and critical mass. That's yeah.
Yeah, as you said, that could have been a cool name for it too.
There you go.
So what things outside of EDM kind of give you inspiration?
I don't know. I pull inspiration from like a lot of different places. Usually like just experiences I have at shows or just like random thoughts that I'll have of like, oh hey, that piques my creative interest. I'm trying to think. Oh, like escapism would be a um good example. So escapism, the whole like um vibe or like thought basis of that track was that a lot of like raves and EDM is for a lot of people like a sort of escape.
Hmm.
And I wanted to make something that would kind of have that mentality or that idea at the forefront. And it's hard to convey that with dubstep, but like I did my best. I think that's probably one of my favorite tracks I've ever made.
Oh yeah. It was funny. One of my good friends came in my room one day and he's like, dude, you need to hear this fucking song. Do you know Glvsspvck? I was like, yes, I do. And it was that song. And he's like, dude, this shit's so crazy. He's just blown away by it.
Let's go.
Oh yeah. Um, so I guess kind of going off that, describe the theme you aim for with your brand. And is there kind of like a storyline behind it or something?
Originally, there was a storyline, and it definitely ties in with like the Metatron's cube. That's like the symbol that I have in a lot of my artworks or videos and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And the original idea was that um, it was like a lot of people tend to see that symbol, maybe while tripping, maybe in dreams. And my idea for the brand and the story was like to uncover why people see this symbol everywhere, even though like cultures that have never talked to each other have drawn this symbol completely independently of each other. And so for me, I still think there's a deeper meaning to that. I might continue that story visually, but that's going to be a long time coming, kind of like bringing together that brand and that story and creating like a narrative with that. That's probably a challenge I'm going to take on in the next year or two. And what was the other question? Sorry.
Yeah, okay. It's just pretty much like yeah, it's like if there's a storyline and like something to follow with it. That's really interesting though. It kind of sounds like that I forgot what it's called, the Fibonacci sequence or something. How it's like a mathematical spiral and it's like the same in
Exactly.
everything. So that's
Yeah, and the golden ratio, it's like 1 to 6 point some or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, I've always found stuff like that really cool, like sacred geometry and math and stuff, because it pops up everywhere.
Oh
Like if
yeah.
you research into like where these symbols come from, it's crazy how often you see them just in nature or in different cultures.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the vibe for the brand, what I wanted to do was kind of this like ethereal connectedness sort of thing. And the brand has kind of evolved and changed over time as I've gone through my different
Mhm.
kind of stages of producing. And at the end of the day, I'm still learning and my sound's still evolving. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm always just trying to figure out how to like convey that with the sounds I create.
Awesome. And I love it because it's like super kind of techy sounding too.
Mhm.
And I feel like that, yeah, that could be a really cool kind of theme story with how everything's like interconnected with like mathematical numbers and geometric shapes, but then it's all super kind of like techy and all that. And
Yeah, the techie stuff because it's a lot of it's math, and I was like, how do I convey math in sound? And the first thing that came to mind was just like having like glitchy and text kind of stuff.
fuck yeah. I love hearing that. I'm excited to see where that ends up going in the future.
Hell yeah.
Um, so it sounds like you kind of brushed up on this a little bit, but what were some main hobbies before music? You definitely mentioned being in the car scene.
Yeah, I was really into cars. Before like music kind of took off, um, I really wanted to do like YouTube vlogs. Um, Basically like any 16, 17-year-old kid. It was like, oh yeah, my idea was like sunset hunters. This is like super cringe thinking about it now, but I wanted to like go to different like landmarks and places and just be like, look at this sunset. It's a cool sunset. It's a great YouTube video idea.
Uh,
And I made one or two, and I think they're still on YouTube somewhere. But they're extremely cringe. It's really bad.
uh, we love
But
the cringe.
yeah, I've always been really into YouTube, even like the early days, like 2006, going on YouTube on my parents' computer. So I've always had like a love for content creation, stuff like that. Um, but yeah, before that, it was pretty much just video games and YouTube.
Nice. Yeah, I could definitely relate to that because yeah, we had our own little car group too, and we want to do kind of vlog videos like that. Like I don't know if you've seen like Haggard Garage.
Oh yeah,
It's kind
love
of,
Harry Garage.
yeah, just some random shit like that. And then I think like our car group was called like Dank Projects with like a Z and like uh,
Ours was the Boof Ass Bandits. Has nothing to do with like boofing or anything, but like this was before that term took off to mean that, and it was just like oh, this is boof, this is stupid. So we all
yeah.
modded our cars hella dumb. Like I had the 8.5 foot whip antenna, and my buddy had a lowered Scion box with a wing and a bunch of anime stickers. Um, but then yeah, it was just like it was all memes. We made a run of
Mhm.
stickers as well,
Oh shit.
which was kind of fun. But yeah,
I love that. Speaking of like the kind of meme side, because I know some people take their like car like super pristine and everything has to look clear and like symmetrical and all
oh
that.
yeah,
Um, I remember it's like, of course, my driving wasn't, scared non kind of car people. And so I had like 24-inch gold glitter letters across the like front of the dash, like on the passenger side.
yeah.
It just said, "But did you die?" It's just
We had it was yeah, the same kind of banner thing, but ours said Trash Brigade. So we were like we're the trashy people of the car club.
that's the best group though. It's the
Yeah.
best group.
We were like, fuck all this taking stuff seriously. No, trash time.
Oh yeah. Um So, what is it about the music that drew you in more than that? Was it just kind of like just growing out of things, or?
I think so with music. I mean, I've been producing for a good 8-9 years at this point.
Wow.
But yeah, before that I was just doing like chiptune stuff. Not really, I wasn't super into it. I'd release like 1 or 2 tracks a year as just like oh hey, I can still do this. It was just like fun things to kind of just take my mind off. Or if I was ever in like a creative spike, I'd go and like make something. And I always wanted to do more with that before Glvsspvck. And I think the thing that like put me over the edge of like I want to do music was it was a combination of the Getter vlogs. Have you ever seen the old Getter vlogs?
Oh, the like comedy show, the
No, like the so Getter had like a run of vlogs. He took them down off his main channel, but they got re-uploaded. And it was just like videos from him and all that group at the time. So it was like him, um, what's that guy with the curly hair, the Sawdude guy?
oh,
Uh,
I know who you're
uh,
talking about though.
you know who I'm talking about. I
Yeah,
forget his
yeah.
name. He was like a Vine guy. It was like Getter, him, and like a bunch of other dudes who were on the bus, Clint. And I was just like, that would be an ideal lifestyle. Just go and like be on a tour bus with a bunch of homies playing music and just fucking around.
Love it.
And then it was that, and then there was a video from Syndicate, who was like he's like a gaming YouTuber.
Yeah.
And he went to EDC with what was his name? Jaws. Like Jaws took him to EDC and they just hung out. I was like, this vibes.
Mm-hmm.
That and I started going to shows around the same time. So I was like, okay, it's time to make more music.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, that'd just be insane. Just one day be playing some big festival, just hit up your homie, just come through, dude. I'd love to see you. Just like take them out, have a great time and shit.
That's like my end game. That's like I've made it. If I can just like, yo, come come through this festival, I'll get you a wristband.
One day, one day.
One day, hopefully. That would be cool.
Oh yeah. Um, it's my favorite question to ask everyone. What is the craziest thing you ever witnessed at a show, either on stage playing or like in the crowd? Just some kind of event that took place where you're just like, am I fucking seeing this right now? Like,
I mean, I've seen some shit. I've seen some shit. Oh man, I'm trying to think of like, I mean, at a certain point, you just become numb to it.
yeah.
There was the naked dude at Nocturnal one year, and I looked over and I was like, whoa,
You're like,
bro.
oh,
It's like, oh, you do you, I guess.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm just thinking back to all of.
Lot to process and go through.
I saw at a local show when it was like my second or third time raving, and there was a couple and they were in the grass in the middle of the crowd. So there was like at the venue that a lot of shows were being thrown in Sacramento at the time. There was a venue that had an indoor and an outdoor section. And the outdoor section had like it was all grass, so you could like lay down and people would just like go and lay down and sit.
Yeah.
It was good vibes, but one time I definitely saw 2 people fucking, and it was one of those they were trying to be sneaky, but like everybody was
Like notice
I
it,
know
but
what
try
you're
to
doing.
ignore it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I think eventually security came over and was like, y'all need to chill. And they stopped. It's like,
oh no.
no.
Oh, that's insane. That is actually, I think, the second time that that has been the answer for that question. I'm trying to remember who the first, I think it was Caliber, might have been the first one to say that, but I think his was at some like random indoor venue. I think he was playing and just saw two people like middle of the dance floor, dude's just laying on the ground, girls on top of him. I guess like security didn't stop it. Everyone's just like cheering them on, and that's just like,
I mean, that's that's like ballsy, but it's also kind of like
yeah.
it's up to you if you can pull that off. There was so I didn't see this, but it happened in my local scene, and like everybody knew about it as soon as it happened. There was an 8-person orgy in the parking lot at one of the local shows. They like no, they weren't like inside of anything. It was just like they all parked their cars so that they had like a wall, and then in the middle of that, it was just
Oh my god.
for it. And eventually security came over and were like,
What?
oh
How
no
do
no
you
no,
even handle that?
the EMTs came over and was like,
Oh
you were calling security.
yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah,
That's insane. I just don't know what goes through people's heads. Like, could just get home or something. Could go to, if you had a hotel room or something. You're just like, nope.
exactly.
Everyone here now, parking lot. Like,
MDMA, man, MDMA.
oh yeah, oh yeah, it's hilarious. So we got a bonus question.
Ooh,
Can we get a Glasspack and Atlians collab? Because that
dude,
would
I
be,
wish. I wish.
oh,
So, actually, fun fact, backstory. My like entire brand image comes from so one of the first shows that I went to was ATLians when they played in Sacramento. And I made the mistake of taking, this was back when I did a bunch of psychedelics. I took way too much acid, and I ended up sitting in a corner and just like tripping out watching ATLians.
oh yeah.
And I saw the Metatron's cube. I saw
Mm-hmm.
it. Like it was tangible. And so that's where a lot of my brand image comes from. Is that one crazy trip at an ATLians show.
Nice. I like how that kind of full circled back around.
Exactly. But yeah,
Uh,
one day I would love to collab with them. I send them music if I'm like, oh yeah, this fits the ATLians brand. I'm like, send it to their email. They haven't responded, but someday, hopefully.
it will happen. We'll make sure it happens if we can.
That would be ideal.
That'd be so dope. So what DAW do you mainly use? Are you like a one DAW type of person or like a bit of everything?
I am a one dog kind of man. I am FL, born and raised.
Okay.
My roommate and all of my friends are Ableton. I'm like, they're constantly like, come to Ableton. I'm like, I've done 8 years in FL. I can't switch now. I can't leave my child.
That'd be difficult. I mean, because I did FL for like maybe like a month and like I barely touched it then. And that's like when I first started producing, I like bought FL. I was like, let's go, and like looked at it, and definitely was not as hard as I thought it was gonna be. And I just mean like producing in general. I
Mhm.
just opened it up. I thought it was gonna be so much easier. And I looked at everything. And I was like, what the fuck? But so I found a homie who was like willing to, kind of show me their basics and shit. But he was on Ableton, so he was like, yeah, we're gonna transfer you over to Ableton and then I'll be able to help. So then from then on I've been in Ableton. But
Yeah.
what is it about FL that is it just the comfortability or?
Yes. So, as I use FL more, eventually I got 2 screens, and my biggest gripe with Ableton is that you can't do a 2-screen setup. So I have all my playlists and stuff over here, and then this is all my mixing and other stuff. Any plugins that I'm doing. So this is my like oven, and then this is like my cake pan, if that makes sense.
It
But you
does.
can't do that in Ableton. And at this point, I have all the plugins that emulate the stuff that Ableton native plugins do. So I'm like, why switch when I kind of already have everything? But
Yeah.
when people do ask me like, oh, what DAW should I get? I'm like, just get Ableton. It'll make your life so much easier. There's so many more tutorials and like support for it at this point. When I started in like 2014, 2015, it was like FL had more tutorials and stuff to just like get you going.
Yeah. Plug this in real quick. Yeah, true. I noticed that too. Is like if you ever type in, you know, any type of like EDM tutorial and pops up, yeah, it's usually in Ableton, which I feel like, yeah, that alone, especially for someone just starting out, you know, that's just gonna naturally bring them over to Ableton.
Exactly.
Um, so do you think you'll ever have like a major genre switch or brand switch or anything?
If I do, it'll be on a different alias. Like if I wanted to, if one day I was like, I want to make house, I'd make a house alias. I don't think I'd tell anybody. I'd just make it and see how it goes. It wouldn't be like connected to my main at all.
Yeah.
I've been like kind of tossing around that idea, but I'm waiting for kind of something to click to where I'm like, this is a unique sound that I can base a full brand off of. So maybe eventually, but
Hmm. That'd be because
yeah,
yeah,
I've
you
been
definitely have that insane, unique sound. It's like I was just talking about it with my homie the other day. I was like, I don't even know what you would call it because it's like dubstep, but then it's super experimental and it like has some kind of aspects of like glitch in it and like maybe even some kind of mid tempo here or there. And it's like, what do you call it?
yeah, I don't know. I've never like I mean in the early days I was like, I want to make hybrid trap. And that's just kind of like what came out when I tried to make ATLian style hybrid trap. And then recently I've been kind of delving into rhythm and dubstep, and this is just kind of what comes out of me trying to make stuff like that. I'd say one of my biggest like toxic traits is that I specifically don't watch many tutorials
Hmm.
so that I don't end up making generic sounding. There's stuff that sounds like
Mhm.
other people. I want to like it makes it harder because I'm like, I don't know if this will sound good. And a lot of times it doesn't. But when I do make something cool, it ends up being a lot more unique. Or like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I mean, yeah, if everyone's watching the same tutorial video, then they're plugging in the exact same thing in their computer, and then it's like, okay, cool.
Exactly.
um, oh god, it's a party once, and I think it was Yuki's manager I was talking with, and they were saying how like you know, they look more for uniqueness than downright, you know, someone who's like good or like, you know, has their shit super banging. He's like, you know, you could be as good as you are, but if you sound like Excision, there's already an
Oh yeah.
Excision. He's like, but I look for people, you know, even if their shit's not at that level, if they have a very direct, unique sound that's true to them, that's like what
Exactly.
they aim for. And that like really spoke to me. I was like, damn, yeah, that's, you know, better than copying someone else's sound. And even though if your shit's banging and good, it's like,
It's
cool,
like
but
this sounds like insert person. Yeah, I don't that's what I talk to or what I tell a lot of people or like people who are kind of just starting out and trying to um find their way in music. I'm like the biggest thing is just like think about what vibe you want to create and then make that go for try to find your own sound before trying to like make it big in the music industry.
yeah. that's definitely something I've been feeling like I definitely struggle with. It's like I naturally any person starting out is, chances of them being able to tack down something like that are pretty slim. But I definitely feel like I'm starting to go for like a kind of techie sound with like tear out kind of stabs under it.
Hell yeah.
I guess is a way of putting it. I'm not even sure how I'd put it.
That's a good way to do it. I mean, yeah, taking two artists that you really like and then like blending them,
Mm-hmm.
or making stuff that you would think like, oh, if they had a collab, what would it sound like?
Exactly.
And then make something like that. It's a good way
Exactly.
to bring in it's like easy uniqueness.
Yeah. And yeah, that's definitely kind of the mindset I have when I'm trying to do stuff. I like my end goal is I want to cross like Liquid Stranger with like Murata, which would just be like
Ooh,
not sure how that would go out, but we're gonna figure it out.
hell yeah. Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Oh yeah.
That'd be fucking insane.
Um, so how would you say music has changed you? Like personality traits or just kind of mindsets or how you view things?
I think I definitely like search for whatever the opposite of like homeostasis is. Like I actively try to throw myself into environments or situations that I'm uncomfortable with because I'm like eventually like if I make it out of this, I'll have more inspiration and stuff to write about. So kind of just throwing myself into stuff has been the vibe recently.
Okay. Um, what kind of characteristics do you think are helpful to make it in the music industry?
I think just being like genuinely nice to people. Um, like I know a few artists where like people will go up to them at shows and be like, "Oh, I love your music. You make such great stuff." And they're just like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever." And I'm like, that's a fan. Don't do that. What are you
Yeah.
doing? Like they take the time out of their day to listen to your music and they like the stuff that you're putting out and you're creating. And isn't that kind of the basis of the whole shtick we're doing
Reason why
at
you're
the end
doing
of the
it?
day? That's the whole thing. That's the entire thing. So I think like yeah, just interacting with fans and just being genuinely nice. And when people ask for tips online or stuff like that, like give it your best shot. Like even if it's some weird question, like yeah, I'll answer fucking anything.
Fuck yeah. I definitely feel like we do need a lot more of that in the music industry. I feel like EDM's just kind of as a whole is definitely had some kind of like bad things said about it, kind of like what you're saying, how artists will just kind of blow people off or just be like, yeah, cool, whatever, dude. And it's like, I just couldn't picture, like, I feel like if I had one friend or fan, I'd just be like, dude, you're my best friend, dude, like, come kick it. Like, but I guess once you get to that point where it's, hundreds of thousands of people, like,
Yeah,
even then you still should, feel like still should be able to, anytime you have an interaction, to make it a genuine one and kind of wholesome.
exactly.
Oh yeah,
You put out good vibes, you receive good vibes back.
exactly.
Is my whole idea.
So one of my mom's favorite sayings when I was growing up was, what you give is what you get.
Yep,
It's like, yeah,
yep.
I
That's
can
that
stick with that.
shit.
um so what do you prefer, more releasing solo or with like a record label?
It's I mean, it's definitely situational. I personally really like releasing just solo stuff because I control the marketing, I control the visual aspect. And then I get all the followers directly to my page if it does well. Whereas with record labels, they control a lot more of the marketing and branding for that. However, labels are good for tapping into a new audience. So like if I were to release something on my page, it automatically goes to all of my followers. But it doesn't go to anybody following Never Say Die. But if I were to release on Never Say Die, that's a completely different pool of people. That just pulls more people in. So it's kind of like a strategy thing. I do really like doing self-releases, but I acknowledge that I kind of have to do label releases every once in a while to kind of like not oversaturate one specific pool of people. But yeah.
Hmm. What would you, I mean, kinda answered this, but what would you say is the like exact hardest part about going through a record label? Would it just be that creative box, or like having working within a time frame, or just trying to bring it to where someone else wants it?
Yeah, I'd say the hardest part is just like, especially if you're doing like compilations, it's hard to like get your piece of the pie or like get what you want out of it. Like with the recent release on Audio, I actually haven't checked this recently, but they misspelled my name on Spotify. And so the whole thing is linked to some it's Glvsspvck.
Oh no.
So yeah, and I've messaged Kit about it. I'm not sure if he may have totally fixed it by now. I just
Yeah.
um but it's like stuff like that. It's like I don't know. I'm very like with my music, I'm like, I want the control. Like let me control.
Yeah.
So like relinquishing that to someone else is always a little tough. At
Okay.
least for me anyway. I know some people are like, oh yeah, somebody else handled this.
uh, that's crazy though. There's some guy sitting there getting all these messages. Yo, you're dude, your shit's just popping off, and he's just like, thanks. Like I haven't released it in a while. Cool. Something.
This deep swell? What? I didn't make that.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Um, would you ever consider making your own record label?
If I was like really big, yeah. I mean, that would be that would be like an end game, like 5 years in the future kind of goal. Um, yeah, if I'm like at the point where I'm pretty much like upper card on festivals, then hell yeah, record label.
Fuck yeah.
It's hard to say what kind of genres and styles there's gonna be at that point, but yeah, no, that'd be super sick.
Nice. I definitely yeah, started seeing a lot more. I think I seen it first with Subsidia, how they'll do like dawn, and it's kind of one genre, and they'll do night and it's like a different genre or day or something. And then like how Cyclops is doing like green, yellow, red, I think is their kind of like green's weird shit, and then yellow's like rhythm, and then all the red's like dubstep.
I had never noticed that, but now that you say that, that makes a lot
Really?
of sense. Oh my
I
god.
oh,
Uh,
oh yeah. Yeah, there's a yeah, I think so. I could be wrong on that one.
no,
I
you're right. Like I've definitely seen that, but I didn't like put it all. Hold on. Cyclops recordings, tracks. Yeah, so like they're compilations. Oh, the Guppy EP. Ooh. Oh yes, yes. Some of these are red. The Evade, Stone Level, Evil Noise,
ooh,
Muerte are red. Uber and Subtronics. Okay, and then green. Yeah, Paper Sky Squishy, Inactive, Sharp Loud. and then yellow, prosecute Jewel's warm. So this must be like the trappy sort of stuff.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that
Huh.
makes a lot of sense.
Speaking out, shout out the boy Evade wherever he is. He's one of our previous interviews, which was sick. I think
Hell
it
yeah.
was right after he released on Cyclops. I think is like his most recent song at the time. That was super dope, dude. Love that guy. So last question. If you are not already, at what point will you be content with your music career?
I don't think I ever will be. And I think that's genuinely not a bad thing. I feel like for me, like a true altruistic like existence would be to like always be learning and progressing. So
Mhm.
it I'd say like the day I'm happy and content with music is like the day I'm like, okay, I'm over this. So I hope that day never comes.
Oh, oh yeah, I love that question because you can get a lot of different responses to that. It's interesting seeing kind of how just I guess different people operate like that,
Yeah,
their kind of mindsets. I definitely feel that though because it's like at one end, you want to be happy with what you're doing, but at the other end, you don't want to get complacent and be like, oh, I'm happy with where I'm at. And then, you kind of stop looking to expand
exactly.
or like learn new stuff and all that. Well, that is it for this week's episode. I want to personally thank everyone for watching and huge thanks to Glvsspvck for your time and doing all this.
Of course, man. It was a pleasure.
Oh yeah, definitely means a lot to all of us over at M.F.M.F. And you can find a link down in the comment for Glvsspvck's most recent song, which is Deep Swell, the audio track we're talking about.
Yeah.
And we'll throw down a little link tree down there so you can find all his social medias and give him a follow because it's very much deserved. Hope to see you guys next week. Have a great rest of your day.
Bass. Cut.